does this always happen? Like something with the lighting always wants to do this. There we go. Look at this, because it's related to this video. This is my sticker that I got. Hey guys, it's Etta. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be telling you about how I found out I was born without a sense of smell and answer some of your questions and like frequently asked questions. So this story starts out when I was around 8 years old and I realized I didn't think I was smelling anything. I remember so vividly being at friends' houses and them talking about their mom's cookies smelling so good in the oven, and I was just like, I got nothing. And I was like, maybe, I don't know what I thought. It was just hard for me to understand what they were saying and connect that to what I was smelling, because like, there wasn't anything that I was smelling. I don't know if that makes sense, but I thought what I was like inhaling, like the air was the smell, but everything just smelled the same to me. I don't know. I was very confused as to why this was happening. So I kind of brought it up to my parents a couple times, but I mean, you know how when you're like sick and your nose is stuffy and you can't really smell that well. So they thought it might be that a couple times, or that I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can smell, and it was just kind of brushed aside because it wasn't stopping me from doing anything until, well, no, it still wasn't stopping me from doing anything. But when I was 13, I was, oh good. This is what I have really sensitive skin, and so like I literally like touched right here and it's red. Okay, sorry, back to the story. So when I was 13, I was in the car with my mom and I said, hey mom, I really think that I don't smell anything. And she was like, okay. So we went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and I took I swear it was like an hour, 2 hour long scratch and sniff test in this little booklet, and it was really frustrating because it was a multiple choice test, and so you'd scratch the thing, smell it, and then pick what it smelled like. But because I can't smell anything, I just was putting down random answers because it was like everything I was smelling, I just wasn't getting anything, except for I usually can get mint because it like burns the inside of my nose, and sometimes pine, and that's pretty much it. Also, like hand sanitizer is another thing that I can smell, but we'll get into that. So I took that test. The doctor came back in and he said, yeah, you got all of them wrong. You're not smelling anything probably, or if anything, very little. So I had a brain MRI to make sure that it wasn't a tumor or that the olfactory nerve wasn't damaged, just to see what was going on. And so I had the brain MRI done, and we got those results back, and the doctor said we had to have like 3 MRI technicians look at this because we've never seen this before. You just don't have the olfactory nerve, which is the first nerve in your brain. A lot of times, if people that have anosmia, which is what I have, even congenital anosmia, usually the nerve is still there, it just doesn't work properly. Or if it's you like become anosmic, it's usually from an illness or head trauma, or a brain tumor can like cause it to stop working. But mine just isn't there at all, and they don't know why. It just never developed. So I have what's called congenital anosmia, which just means that I was born without the sense of smell, and there's not anything that you can really do for it. And yeah, there's a couple trials going on, one that I'm actually a part of through a research place called Manel, and I had to do like another scratch and sniff test and swab and all this stuff, and send pictures of my MRIs, because they just got enough funding to do more testing on congenital anosmia and finding if there are ways to implant like stem cells and grow it back. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but they're working on something, maybe. So now I'm gonna get into some frequently asked questions, or questions that I get pretty much consistently every time somebody finds out that I can't smell. And I posted on my Instagram story asking people to ask questions that they have, and I got questions there too, so we'll go through those. The first question everyone always asks when I tell them that I can't smell is if I can taste. And this is actually another one of the questions that I got on Instagram too a couple of times. But I do taste. Because I was born without a sense of smell, I don't know that I necessarily taste that much differently, but I don't know any different. I just know how I taste. I do think because there is a lot of eating that is involved, or smell is involved a lot in the enjoyment of food, that I definitely don't have, but I rely a lot on the texture of foods. I still can taste, like I know spicy, I know sweet, I know salty. Food definitely is something that like I enjoy and is a big part of my life. I don't know, that sounds weird, but I eat and like, okay, I don't really know what it is. I can taste, basically is all I'm trying to say. I have taste buds, I can taste. I do taste probably differently than everyone else, but everyone tastes differently anyway. Like everyone has different things they like, and their taste buds react differently to certain foods. I don't know any different, so, but yeah, if you want to see more about my like abilities with taste though, I'll link down below. I did a blind taste test like a year and a half ago where my mom blindfolded me and gave me foods, and I actually got almost all of them wrong. I rely a lot on the site and what I know they're supposed to taste like, what things are supposed to taste like. So like for example, I know the difference between a lemon and a lime, or a craisin and a raisin. I don't know, and she cut like the seeds off of the strawberry and I thought it was a green grape. It just like, things I rely a lot on are my sight and my taste for when, or my sight, yeah, and my taste, like the texture and stuff, for how I taste. Another question I got was, how was I born without it? And I kind of explained that I don't really know. It just didn't develop in my brain, is my understanding of it. It's still something, like especially congenital anosmia is pretty rare, so they don't know a ton about it and why that would happen, but yeah. Another question I got from the same person is, if I could smell one thing, what would it be? Which is a really good question. I've never actually really thought about it. And my initial thought was like cookies or something like that people talk about smelling so good. And then I realized, like realistically, I wish I could smell like body odor, which sounds gross. Like I wish I could smell myself so that I know if I smelled bad. I just feel like realistically that would be my best option if I could only pick one thing to smell, because that's something that I have to be like really conscious about, just because I can't smell if I smell bad. Yeah, there are a few people that I will not be offended if they tell me. No, I won't be offended at all if you tell me that I probably should put on more deodorant or take a shower. But yeah, so if I could smell anything, it'd be myself, and or something sweet. Another person I got was from my cousin. Hey Maris, what's up? I don't even know if you're gonna watch this, but she said, isn't it funny how even though you're my cousin, I still forget that you can't smell? Yeah, it's funny, but it's also really common. Like, I have people that have known since I met them that I can't smell, and they still will be like, oh my gosh, it smells so bad. And I'm just like, but I don't get offended by it. If you don't remember that I can't smell, it's really not that big of a deal. There's some people that I'll give like crap about it to. I'm like, I'll just look at them and I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's fine, like don't worry about it. I did spend a large part of my life like lying about being able to smell, but I wouldn't say lying, but like just kind of going along with things. So if somebody was like, oh, it smells so good, when you walked into the house and you could see somebody was cooking, I would just be like, oh yeah, it does. So I wouldn't say I was like lying, because I just wasn't smelling anything. I wasn't smelling something bad and saying it was good. There was just nothing happening. So I just kind of went along with everyone. So I know in my head what smells good and what smells bad based on other people's opinions and what I've heard. And then I also assume scents based on kind of how things taste. Like I think I know what citrus smells like based on how oranges and lemons taste to me, and things like that. But yeah. Another question I had was, do I think of it as more of an advantage or a disadvantage? I definitely don't know, and that was a really good question. I think out of all of the senses, it's probably the best one to not have, because like it doesn't, I wouldn't consider it like a disability. Like I can still do everything the same. I don't like require anything like special. The only time it is a disadvantage is that I can't smell smoke or gas, and that can sometimes be dangerous. Like one time I put an Easy Mac thing in the microwave without water in it, and I left the kitchen and it like started smoking a lot, and like the noodles turned black and the plastic melted, and I didn't know until I got into the kitchen and could see the smoke. So things like that get kind of like dangerous, but that's why you have smoke detectors, and they have special detectors for gas leaks and things like that. So it really isn't that big of a deal. So I would say it's probably more of an advantage because there are a lot of bad smells and they don't like affect me. The thing I am curious about though is when I go into Bath and Body Works, I still get headaches from like all of the scents, but I'm not smelling anything, so I don't really know why that happens. And what I was saying earlier about things that I can smell, mint burns the inside of my nose, so I think of it as similar to how someone who's deaf could hear vibrations. So not like the specific like words, but they could tell maybe that there was somebody talking. I know that there's something I'm supposed to be smelling, but I couldn't tell you what it was. It just like tingles inside of my nose. And that's the same with hand sanitizer or like rubbing alcohol and some cleaning supplies. Cleaning supplies. So yeah, a lot of the questions on my Instagram were like pretty much the same things. A lot about taste, which is like really common just because you always hear that smell has a lot to do with taste. But yeah, if you have any other questions, you can comment them down below and I will go through and answer them. Or you can DM me on Instagram. All of my social media will be at the end of the video. And yeah, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe because why not? Why wouldn't you? I just told you a crazy story about my life. It's not that crazy, but yeah. So anyway, I will see you in my next video. Bye!